within the institutional audience where they all the time are not willing to look at most ETFs that have less than maybe 500 million in AUM. No one really talks about it, but it's kind of given despite how liquidity has increased within the ETF market. Now you can pretty much trade anything in bulk at a certain level. They're not really using the very new ETFs that come into market. What I'll say is that doesn't mean they're not tracking them. So especially with the advent of active ETFs, a lot of these managers see them as competition.
Dashboard. Trump called Iran's response to a U.S. proposal totally unacceptable. The proposal aimed to end the war. Middle East, civil unrest, thermal anomalies, sanctions pressure, military air activity, naval presence detected across Iran, United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Oman, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Lebanon, Qatar, Kuwait. Eastern Europe, civil unrest, thermal anomalies, sanctions pressure, naval presence, military air activity detected across Russia, Poland, Belarus, Romania, Ukraine, Moldova, Slovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria. East Asia, civil unrest, thermal anomalies, sanctions pressure, naval presence detected across China, Taiwan, Japan, Mongolia, North Korea, South Korea. Trump calls Iran response to U.S. proposal to end war totally unacceptable. Southeast Asian leaders tackle Iran war vulnerabilities. North Korea reaps huge economic boost from Ukraine war, Nikkei Asia. Dozens of Nigerian fishermen feared dead after Chad airstrikes on Boko Haram. Sudan drone strikes killed at least 880 civilians between January and April, UN says. Why war on Iran may be accelerating end of US hegemony and damaging Stargate, South China Morning. Houthis expanding weapons cache with drones and missiles from Iran. Middle East crisis live, Trump rejects Iran response to US peace proposal as Tehran warns of new ATT. FX stress from Middle East governance pressure state. Inflation and rates pressure from Baltic Sea maritime disruption state. Inflation and rates pressure from Germany infrastructure fragility state. Sovereign risk repricing from Brazil security escalation state. Supply chain disruption risk from Black Sea maritime disruption state, market. Will Mojtaba Khamenei be head of state in Iran end of 2026? Instability index rose from 56 to 83, plus 27. Driver, information velocity. Instability index rose from 74 to 99, plus 25. Driver, information velocity. Instability index rose from 6 to 16, plus 10. Driver, security activity. Military flight surge, 94 active sorties tracked in global. GPS jamming detected, 67 high interference hexagons in Eastern Europe. GPS jamming detected, 82 high interference hexagons in Middle East. GPS jamming detected, 8 high interference hexagons in Turkey Caucasus. Active conflict zone, Russia controls Kerch Bridge, Ukraine grain exports via Azov severely restricted, traffic down 62% vs 30-day baseline, vessels may be transiting dark, AIS off. Ukraine grain, Azov, Russia Azov ports, Crimea supply. Active conflict, Iran-Israel war, Iranian naval blockade risk and mines reported in Persian Gulf. JWC listed area, active Houthi attacks on commercial shipping. Suez Indian Ocean, Gulf Europe oil, Red Sea transit. JWC listed area, adjacent to active Red Sea conflict and Iran-Israel war spillover. China Europe, Suez, Gulf Europe oil, Qatar LNG Europe. Montreux Convention restrictions, elevated due to Russia-Ukraine war and periodic Turkish traffic controls. Russia Black Sea exports, Ukraine grain, Caspian oil transit. China-Japan trade, Korea-Southeast Asia, Pacific Semiconductor. Asia-Europe, Cape Route, Gulf Americas oil, Suez bypass. North Sea Atlantic, Europe intra-trade, UK continental Europe. Japan-Korea trade, China-Japan, alternate, Pacific East Asia. China-Middle East oil, China-Europe, via Suez, Japan-Middle East oil. US East Coast Asia, US East Coast South America, Atlantic Pacific bulk. Atlantic Mediterranean, Gulf Europe oil, final leg, India Europe. Malacca bypass, VLCCs, Australia Asia, Indian Ocean Pacific. US stock futures fall, oil surges as Trump calls Iran's latest offer to end war totally unacceptable and NBSP, Market Watch. Oil prices jumped on Monday after Israel warned that the conflict with Iran was still ongoing.